Hi guys, James here. I'm back again. Well, what I'm about to show you, I hope a lot of people don't take offense to this. What I'm about to show you is going to shock you. Some people, I don't know how some people they might not like me after this video, but I got to bring you the truth. And this time, remember I was telling you about the Arab world on my last video, and how in Lebanon, different places like that, they view you as slaves. And where did this mindset come from? So in the Arab speaking world, right? Why is it that they beat their servants, right? Why in Lebanon they call you a bead? Why is it that there's still Libya having slaves till this day? Well, you about to get your answer. Guess who black Muslims, and just like any other Muslims, guess what? The one that they quote after the name of their God, and it's something come from the prophet that many of that they forgot, and some people overlook. But this came. I got two people that's quote the Quran. So then I'm going to show you some video of what's going on in the Arab world, this other part of the Arab world. And you're going to be shocked, and you're going to understand how they see you till this day in some of those countries, like Libya, Morocco, Lebanon, and places like that. So I'm about to show you this video, and even though that, and some people are gonna probably be in denial, because this video is gonna say that, but this came from the Prophet Muhammad himself. Two people gonna read from the Quran. It's gonna come from the Quran. It is what it is. I ain't racist. I ain't prejudiced. I ain't xenophobic. This is what they said. These are people who are in Islam. And what they don't tell you the translation of the only what they want you to know. Kind of like some certain things that some people use the Bible for their own advantage, but use it for their particular reason. But this came out of their prophet itself to the whole world. All, I don't know how many Muslims there is, but it's like in the millions, close to probably move up into millions. But they will quote to say this quote and say Allah, we shahad to Allah, and then say peace. Then after they say Allah, they say peace be behind this man. So all these nations are upon this prophet. They pray to him. They give homage to the God that honored this prophet, who is not the resurrection, who brings no healing power, but they use the one that brings the healing power, who get deliverance and give you alternative peace, the prophet. They call Jesus the prophet. Interesting, but the healing, the deliverance, don't come out of the Prophet Muhammad, or the one is higher than him. What they call they call him Mahdi or Mukti. There's no. But anyway, let's get to the video.
The structure at Miami was really helpful to balance the needs
And
of family, work, and academia.
When you look into the Bible, you never see any of the prophets talk about in the Bible black people as slaves. But in the Quran, this is how you treat your slaves, not your servant. Islam on blacks.
In order to make Islam appear attractive to black people, some Muslims say that the Prophet Muhammad was black. Even Allah was claimed to be black as well. What?
Allah is also black?
Let's hear what a Muslim said to Malcolm X in this movie.
I tried to act like I'm telling you God's words, not no hustle. I'm gonna tell you, God is black. God is black.
Allah is black. Prophet Muhammad is black. Islam is the religion of the Africans. Islam abolished slavery, freed slaves, elevates women, eliminates discrimination. But actually, there is no evidence of that statement. As a matter of facts, based on Islamic literatures, Prophet Muhammad enslaved people, owned and sold slaves, including several black slaves.
It's a pleasure doing business with you, O Rasulullah.
He was neither black nor African. The Islamic traditions emphasize how white his skin was. Sahih Bukhari 1, number 367. He uncovered his thigh, and I saw the whiteness of the thigh of the Prophet. Sunan Abu Dawud, volume 20, number 3200. I still seem to see the whiteness of the forearms of the Apostle of Allah. Sahih Bukhari, volume 2, book 17, hadith number 122. And a white person, Muhammad, who is requested to pray for rain. Muhammad was not a white Caucasian, but an Arab man with a relatively fair complexion than most Arabs around him. The repeated statements regarding the whiteness of the Prophet Muhammad's skin are directly related to the meaning of the colors of black and white in Islam. Quran, Surah Al Imran, verse 106. The day when faces are whitened, and faces blackened. Then, as for the ones whose faces are blackened, did you disbelieve after your belief? Then taste the torment for that you disbelieved. Quran, Surah Az-Zumar, verse 60. And on the day of resurrection thou, Muhammad, sees those who lied concerning Allah with their faces blackened. Is not the home of the scorners in hell? According to these verses, people whose faces are whitened will go to heaven, while the ones that were blackened will go to hell. If Allah decides some black men go to heaven, then their black faces would be whitened, as if there is something wrong with having black skin. Allah wants to be sure that no black face ever show up in heaven.
Oh, it's not like that, bro. Those verses are metaphorical without any racist connotations.
However, there are some hadiths that link black skin and creation with Judgment Day. Mishkat al-Masabi, volume 1, chapter 4, part 2, page 36. Abu Darda. The Prophet of God said, God created Adam and struck him in the right shoulder, and brought out his white children. You would say they were pearls. Then he struck his right shoulder, and produced his black children. You would say they were coals. And God said, those of the right side are towards paradise, and I have no fear. And he said of those of the left side, they are towards hell, and I fear not. What does it mean when Allah said, I fear not? This is what he means. The expression here twice repeated, in the original La Abali, implies, I have no fear that their future deeds will falsify the sentence which I have now pronounced, seeing I have already predestined all their action. Abdul Haq. So, according to this hadith, Allah already decided all black people he created would go to hell no matter what they did, since he already predestined their fates. This hadith explains very clearly that in Islam, Allah made the destiny of human beings before he created them. He already decided to bless the extremely white-skinned people to heaven and to curse the extremely black-skinned people to hell. It's clear that Allah judges them based on the color of their skin, and that for Allah, white is pure, holy, clean, while black is the opposite of it. In fact, other narrations even command that any person claiming that Muhammad was black be put to death. Muhammad, Messenger of Allah. Ash-Shifa of Qadi Iyad, page 375. Ahmad ibn Abi Sulayman, the companion of Sanan, said, anyone who says that the Prophet was black should be killed.
Amid global market volatility, stock market losses, and rising inflation have left investors with few options.
To be killed. The Nation of Islam teaches that white people are devils. Their members might want to ponder this statement by Muhammad. The Apostle said,
whoever wants to see Satan, let him take a look at Abdul bin al-Harith.
He was a sturdy black man with long flowing hair, inflamed eyes, and dark ruddy cheeks. He used to come and talk to the apostle and listen to him and then carry what he had said to the hypocrites.
But you have to see the whole context. Nabtal is a hypocrite. That's why the prophet called him Satan.
There were many hypocrites surrounded the prophet, but he only called Nabtal, who was black, as Satan. How about calling a black woman as an epidemic? Sahih Bukhari, Volume 9, Book 87, Hadith 161.
I saw in a dream a black woman with unkempt hair going out of Medina and settling at Mahaya, namely Al-Jaffa. I interpreted that as a symbol of epidemic of Medina being transferred to that place, Al-Jaffa.
Ah, come on. That was just a bad dream. No big deal, okay?
Sahih Muslim, Book 10, number 3901. During the time of migration to Medina.
Ya Rasulullah, I want to pledge allegiance with you.
Oh, sure. I'd be more than happy to accept your pledge.
Thank you, Rasulullah. I will migrate with you.
That guy is my slave. I want to have him back, or you can buy him from me.
I didn't know that he is a slave. Okay, I will buy your slave with mine. Here, take my slave.
Huh? He is a black slave, while mine is an Arab slave.
Oh, alright then. Here, have another one. I lost my property because of that guy. That was several thousand dinars gone.
Rasulullah, there is another guy want to pledge allegiance with you.
Is he a slave or a free man? I don't want to lose more property.
Apparently, at that time, the price of one Arab slave is equal with 2 black slaves. Prophet Muhammad saw his black slaves as his currency. Here is another hadith about Prophet Muhammad's black slave. Malik's Muwatta, Book 21, number 21.13.25. During the year of the attack of Khaybar, Prophet Muhammad got a new black slave named Medam. When Medam was unsaddling the camel of the Prophet, a stray arrow struck and killed him. People came and said, "Oh, he died as a martyr. He must be in heaven now." But the Prophet said,
"No, by he in whose hand myself is. The cloak which he took from the spoils on the day of Khaybar before they were distributed will blaze with fire on him."
Just to clarify, Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl, robbed caravans, and beheaded hundreds of Jews, but he's good. His black slave, by contrast, grabbed a cloak before the spoils were divided, so he's headed to hell.
Let's go ahead and head on to the bathroom and see if simpler is really simpler, and see if simpler can get rid of all this white.
So he's headed to hell. Welcome to Islam. Mindlessly obeying Muslim leaders was so important to Muhammad that when he wanted to emphasize obedience, he told his followers that they had to obey even the worst leader imaginable. We find Muhammad's worst-case scenario in Sahih al-Bukhari 7142.
You should listen to and obey your ruler, even if he was an Ethiopian black slave whose head looks like a raisin.
So, the worst possible leader of a community of Muslims, according to Muhammad, would be a black slave.
Look, you're not being honest and fair here. One of the best Sahaba was Bilal, and he was a black guy who was freed by Abu Bakr. We uphold and love Bilal because of his dedication to Islam.
Bilal was a slave before he converted to Islam and continued to be a slave after that. Sahih Bukhari, Volume 5, Book 87, Hadith 99. Narrated case, Bilal said to Abu Bakr,
"If you have bought me for yourself, then keep me for yourself. But if you have bought me for Allah's sake, then leave me for Allah's work."
The hadith explains that, after Prophet Muhammad died, Bilal asked Abu Bakr to set him free. He wouldn't ask Abu Bakr such a request if he was not a slave anymore.
Bilal is a good slave and a great blessing from Allah. I don't think Allah wants me to lose his blessing.
Which one is the prophet? This white guy. What does Satan look like? That black guy. Now, how did a religion that was inaugurated by a white prophet who had black slaves and referred to Ethiopians as raisin heads and said that Satan looks like a black man ever get the reputation it has among African American Muslims today? Well, in the West, there's a general atmosphere of ignorance about Islam. People don't know even the most basic facts about Muhammad and the Quran. And this allows Muslim preachers to say whatever they want about Islam, because no one's going to correct them. So if a Muslim preacher is talking to a woman who's interested in women's rights,
Muhammad was a champion of women's rights.
If he's talking to someone who has a high regard for science,
the Quran is a scientific masterpiece, filled with miraculous scientific insights that were only verified centuries later.
If he's talking to someone who's concerned about racial justice,
Islam is the religion that liberates slaves and establishes racial equality.
Absolute nonsense. But people convert to Islam because they believe what they're told and don't bother reading the Muslim sources to see if the preacher's story checks out.
I'm glad I belong to Jesus. I'm glad I belong to Yeshua.
Hi everyone and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope you're having a great day. It certainly has been a great year so far. These days we're talking a lot about racism and slavery. People want to revolutionize society and history and take down statues of people that did bad things in the past, like own and trade slaves. At the same time, many Muslim voices join this march, which I find very ironic. Because if we want to discredit people who committed atrocities, if we want to tear down statues of people who owned and traded slaves, if we want to shame them and everybody who approves of them, then what about Muhammad? It was normal in history to own and to trade slaves. But Muhammad is not just an important person from history. He is at the center of Islam, described as an example for all humankind, the perfect human to ever walk the face of the earth. So let's look at this guy. Muhammad came from a primitive culture. His tribe were traders that valued property very much, and slaves were property. Arabs had black slaves, and in fact one early prominent Muslim is a black slave named Bilal. Muslims love to mention how Muhammad freed that black slave and gave him the honorable duty to announce the Islamic call to prayer. Somehow this is supposed to show that Muhammad was against racism and for the rights of slaves. Yet this is only an example of what someone like Muhammad would do. Preach to the weak first, like the slave Bilal, because the weak and oppressed are more likely to accept this new religion and challenge the oppressive system which enslaved Bilal. Once Bilal converts, he is used as a symbol of resistance against the system. But since Muhammad is not better than the pre-Islamic polytheists, he establishes a much larger and more oppressive system, an empire, under which thousands of Bilals suffer. That's why, although many people today are very ignorant of this, Islam established the largest, longest-lasting slave trade in history, the Arab slave trade, where most slaves were black, many of them castrated, which is why black people in Arab cultures are still casually referred to as abed or abid, slave or slaves. Throughout his life as a prophet and as the head of the state and military, Muhammad had an unknown number of slaves, and many of the slaves that he owned or that are mentioned in society are noted to be black.
Remember that.
For example, Muhammad had a black slave named Anjasha, who was a camel driver, and in one report, Muhammad tells his slave to slow down because he's driving too fast. There is another report of a very important day in Muhammad's history, where he was angry at his wife since the entire Muslim community somehow had to be involved in that, where Muhammad's close friend Umar wants to speak to him, and he communicates to a black slave, who is the servant of Muhammad, who lets Muhammad know that Umar is here. A black slave who waits at the door for Muhammad. Who cares? In one instance, we see that Muhammad was given a black slave named Midam, who was hit and killed by a random arrow while unsaddling Muhammad's camel. And the people said, "Congratulations, at least he will go to paradise." But Muhammad said, no. He stole property from the spoils of war. In a different hadith, his wife Aisha learns that the Muslims just brought back slaves from a battle, and she casually goes to Muhammad to ask him for a slave because she's in need of a maid. Just another day in the Muhammad family, the Prophet's family. There are many more reports in which Muhammad sends a slave with someone, or makes a slave help somebody wash, or goes to his tailor slave, and more. But we also have reports of him trading slaves. For example, in one very crucial report, we learn that a man, most likely an Arab, came and converted to Islam, and Muhammad accepted him. But later, it turned out that the new convert was a slave, and his master came and asked to get him back. What did Muhammad do? He bought the slave in exchange for 2 black slaves, and then freed the new Muslim slave. To hell with those 2 black slaves. So we see here that Muhammad casually uses 2 black slaves as currency in order to get a new Muslim follower, a former slave. Muhammad could have just given something else instead. Something. By the way, you can also completely see why a slave would convert to Islam, to be freed by Muhammad. Muhammad would approve of and encourage the selling of slaves. For example, in one instance, a poor man who is about to die frees his slave, and what Muhammad does next is to cancel the slave's freedom and sell him instead, then giving the money to the poor guy. This could have been a momentous opportunity to end slavery, but instead Muhammad cancels the slave's freedom and just sells him, because the poor guy's comfort is more important than the freedom of a slave. In one instance, his wife tells him that she freed a slave girl, and Muhammad says it would have been better if she had gifted the slave to her relatives. You would have gotten more reward if you had given her to one of your maternal uncles. I really don't want to let this slip. Muhammad says to his wife, who has just freed a slave girl, that she would have gotten more reward from Allah if she had gifted the slave girl to her uncles instead. I wonder how an average woman today feels about this. Be honest, Muslim women. Muhammad and his followers acquired slaves by buying them or by enslaving their enemies. We know that in many cases, one of those very explicitly described, they would kill the warriors and enslave the rest, including women and children. Just listen to this. The people came out into the streets saying, "Muhammad and his army." Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, vanquished them by force, and their warriors were killed. The children and women were taken as captives. This was a Jewish town that was eradicated. The women and children were enslaved. In this case, Muhammad even took one of the very important women as slave girl and later freed her by converting and marrying her. Muhammad did so more than once. No wonder in one report Aisha casually tells us that Muhammad was gone and she thought he had gone to one of his concubines for sex. The man just couldn't get enough. In fact, Muhammad allowed his warriors to violate women, like in that massacre of the Jewish tribe. A Muslim warrior said to him, "O Allah's Prophet, give me a slave girl from the captives." And Muhammad said, "Go and take any slave girl. Whichever you like, just pick and choose." Muhammad allowed his warriors to have sex with the slave girls, to violate them. Taking a slave girl means establishing a relationship in which the Muslim master can have sex with the slave, and she consents by being a slave. I guess that's what modern Muslims mean when they say Islam gave women rights, like the right to be a slave of the honorable Muslim warriors and have sex with them whenever they want. There is so much more to all of this. Like we can see that slavery was very common and that black slaves would serve for labor and entertainment in Muhammad's society, like 2 black slaves entertaining him and his little wife Aisha in a yard. But modern Muslim apologetics get so pathetic that they try to downplay the seriousness of Islamic slavery. They explain how different conditions were there. Islamic slavery was different. Slaves were treated well, but they can just shut up right away. A slave is a slave, an inferior, a tool, an object, a property that you use for help. There is no justification, no excuse to this at all. Muhammad said there is no tax on a horse or a slave belonging to a Muslim. He said, none of you should flog his wife as he flogs a slave, and then have sexual intercourse with her in the last part of the day. They use black slaves as an analogy to describe the lowest of people in society. The Quran says that a slave and a free man are not equal, and that Allah chooses some people over others. The Quran says, "We made lawful for you those your right hands possess." It allows Muslim men to own and enjoy slave girls. This is the plain and simple truth. Muhammad was a slave master and a slave trader, as he was also a warlord and owner of multiple concubines and numerous wives. He was not a perfect human, serving as an example to every human. He was a perverted part of human history, and Islam is a religion of slavery. I wouldn't be sitting here and judging Muhammad and his community by today's modern standards as slave masters and slave traders, just the way I wouldn't judge other historical figures that held slaves and invaded places throughout history, because those people just acted by the norms of their times and environments, just as Muhammad acted by the norms of the very primitive culture that he came from and the very disgusting culture that he established. I am judging Muhammad because Muhammad is praised day and night by Muslims, because they want to imitate him and want everybody to respect him, because Muhammad is their religion. Muhammad is Islam. This is why we should now tear down the statues of Muhammad. Of course, we have no statues or pictures of Muhammad, but Muhammad is everywhere in Muslim buildings and homes, books and art, prayers and phrases on the mind of every Muslim. Maybe it's time to tear down Muhammad right there, to stop using his name, to destroy this barbaric character. If there is a statue to be torn down, this is it. Please just throw him out. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, it's very important for me that you like and share it and subscribe for more. Most of my videos are not monetized, so you won't see any ads. If you want to support me and my cause, you can support me on Patreon or an apostate prophet.
And he was raised as a Muslim, so he got out of it. That's why he can tell it from his point of view. But oh yeah, so you say, well, James, that's the past, right? Oh, it's no big deal. That was about what, centuries ago? Well, let me tell you about what's going on in the Arab world right now. Beautiful black. I'll be translating from the screen. She took rule a couple books. He took mine with a couple of books.
الشارع هذا
the
كانوا بيقولوا عنه شارع
world was
الصمود لانه اكثر
called
منطقه
because of the people
بيسكنوها
who
اللي
lived
هم
were
احنا
Muslim,
خاصه يعني الناس الصومال
were black people.
كفتاة
As a
ذات
girl,
بشرة
black
سوداء
skin,
عاشوا
living
بقطاع
on the
غزة.
Gaza
أنا
Strip.
تعرضت للعنصرية
I
من
suffer
وأنا
from
طفلة
racism
صغيرة
as a
وما
child
زلت
until this
لهذه
day.
اللحظة
I suffer from
بتعرض
racism because of
للعنصرية
reasons
لأسباب
I
أنا
don't
بصراحة مش
understand
عارفة
or
إيش هي.
know myself.
كان زمان
Racism is an old thing. Now, no,
موجود اطلاقا
it doesn't exist. The same thing.
ما نضحك على حالنا ونقول
Let's not fool ourselves. Say that racism is not an issue in the Palestinian society. It exists today, perhaps less than 25, 50 years ago. This is in Palestine. Palestinians. During the childhood wars, they say, "Hi, blackie, hi, little chocolate."
اذا كان في بينه وبينك
Look
مسح
around,
بدك
eat
اياه
wherever
بس
we want.
مسح
By the same thing, respect and living. When you say black, you give. When you say black and beautiful, the songs have to speak about blackness and beauty, the beauty of the skin itself. There was a guy that used to tell me, "Don't touch me, don't get burnt." In other words, it doesn't turn black like me. So.
كانت المدرسة ممنوعة بالسمر وبالبيض. عمرنا ما
What she was saying was, the guy, if the guy touched her, he didn't want to get black, and didn't want to get burnt.
حسينا إنه في فرق بين أسمر وبين أبيض. دائما مع بعض كأصحاب.
وأنا ماشية في
When I
الشارع
walked in the streets, everyone
نظرات
looked at
الناس
me,
زي نظرات الأطفال
and the
نظرات
families and
الناس
children and
الكبيرة
the
حتى في
elderly.
السن يعني بيعتبروني صراحة إن أنا
They
كائن
make, I
فضائي
think I'm an
بيعطوني
alien. They
نظرات
give me that
إنه
look and
إحنا
it
أفضل
suggests that
منك إنه أنت
they're
أقل
better
منا
and I'm inferior to them. No one insulted me because I am black. Not in school, in a sports club, and not in prayer. Even in the streets and daily life, in the market, there is no racism. God created all of us. He created black and created white. What a person should be judged on is not his actions. And he's on the inside, his ethics and his achievements. My uncles are engineers. One is a mechanical engineer, electronical engineer, and work normally. I used to work with the Dala and Bala neighborhood. We love each other, black and white. I applied to a company
وكانت
and
السكورز
scores
تبعتي
were
هي الأعلى
high.
لكن تفاجأت إنهم هم استغنوا عني
وحكى لي
The head
مدير
of PR told
العلاقات
me that
العامة قال
you're a
لي
good
انت
girl,
جدعة
you're ambitious,
وطموحة وقد حالك لكن انا
but
ما
I can't
بخاطر
take you
انه
the risk of
اوظف
hiring a black person
يعني
because
انسانة
we're,
ذات
we're
بشرة
about
سوداء
we look in
للشركة
the
لانه
media.
احنا بهمنا
We care about we look in the
بهمنا
media.
الواجهة الإعلامية وهذه كانت صدمة في
That was a big
حياتي يعني
shock, a
صدمة
shock of my
جدا.
life.
عند موضوع
When it comes to
الزواج لا
marriage,
بصير
there is a
في
divide.
فارق وبصير
There's
في
a bit of different treatment.
تمييز انه لا
We don't marry blacks. They say, I hate them, we engage them to get married. So people with white skin color can today become a positive phenomenon.
عادي جدا
It is very
شاب
normal for a
أسمري
black man
يتجوز
to
واحدة
marry a
بيضاء
white woman.
لكن بنت
But a
سمراء
black
تتجوز
woman to
واحد
marry a
أبيض
white
لا هذا
man,
مرفوض.
it can't happen. It's respectful society. For a girl to end up going up to a man's family, that might end up being the only black person. In a house which can cause crisis, hurt or any issue, and it can reach a point, divorce because of her color. A person who is hurt, especially during childhood, it will hurt and him for the rest of life.
ضليتني
I
منعزلة
kept
في
isolated in
البيت
my
ما
house. I
بعمل
did not do
إشي
anything.
ما
I'm
بسوي
not
ما
going
بطلع
out
مع
with my
أصدقائي
friends.
حتى
I
المراية
wasn't
ما
even
كنت
looking
أطلع
in my
فيها
mirror.
لكن
But
بالنهاية
in the
الحمد
end,
لله
thank God,
طلعت من
I overcome
هذا
my depression and
الاكتئاب واستمريت
persevered, achieved a
وعملت
lot, and
إنجازات
reached my
ووصلت للي أنا
goals.
بدي إياه. أنا من وجهة
And in
نظري
your
إنه
opinion, parents should
الآباء
educate
لازم يوعوا أطفالهم عن
their children on
موضوع
racism,
العنصرية
especially
وبالذات
when it
للون.
comes to skin color. We are a society that is diverse. We need to consider some of our families. We have raised the children, taught their kids right from wrong, and there are black people and white people.
يعني لما مثلا
I see a
واحد
black
في
child
طفل
has
أسود
been
معرض
bullied.
لتنمر بقول له أبوه
I blame it on the
جاهل
parents'
ليش
ignorance.
بإمكانك أنت
They
ترد عليه
shouldn't
بإمكانك
have
إنه أنت
responded.
تعطيه رد
They
إنه
can
أنا
define
رافض
say
إنه أنت
that
عنصري.
they reject
نزرع في
the
الأجيال
black.
اللي
We need
جاية
to teach
إنه لا
the new generations.
التنوع
The differences
والاختلاف
and
هذا
diversity
شيء
are
حلو كتير
actually
يعني.
beautiful. So even in the Arab world, it got a problem with black folks. And that's over in Palestine, right on the Gaza Strip. Ain't that something? And so even in Arabic, the interracial relationship would be accepted between the black Palestinians and the white Palestinians. And some feel like, can you imagine that? Don't get too close to me, or I don't want to get burnt because I don't want to get black. That racism is deep, man. I'm trying to tell you. But oh, you think that? So it wasn't just black Palestinians. Let's go to Yemen. These are black Yemen people from Yemen, the country of Yemen.
In Ohio, vaping is
Hello fam, welcome to the African Diaspora News Channel. I am Wangil Zadala bringing you this report. Today we're going to be talking about black Yemens. They are outcasts in Yemen. Even if they are Yemenis, even if they have an identification of Yemen, they are treated as if they're not Yemenis, and plus they cannot integrate with the others, with the Arabs. They face racism, discrimination, and they are looked down on. They are living in poor conditions. They can't have a good job, a well-paying job. The only jobs they are allowed to do is clean the streets or collect garbage. And even their children, when they're being sent to school, they are being discriminated against. They are seen less than because of the color of their skin, because they're not Arabs, because they are not white. Just because of that reason, they are not seen as fit for the Arab world. So the Yemen people discriminate against them. In Sana'a, members of the minority group known as Muhamshen, literally means the marginalized, live in dismal conditions in densely populated slums. They count among the poorest of the poor in the Arab world's most impoverished country by more than 5 years of conflict. In the narrow streets of a shanty town in southern Sana'a, lined with makeshift tents and cardboard homes, along with a few simple brick structures, women cook outside on stoves fueled with scraps of rubbish. Hassan told AFP, quote, "It's as if we are not part of Yemeni society, even though we hold Yemeni identification papers. Our children in school are treated differently, and we are looked at sideways on the streets and in markets. So as I said, they don't see them as Yemeni as well, and there's also debate around their origin. Some say they are descendants of African slaves, and some say that they are descendants of Ethiopian soldiers that went to Yemen back in the days. So these people claim that they're not, but there are others that believe that they are Yemenis. So one, they don't claim them because of the color of their skin. Two, they don't allow them to come live with them or around them. They have to live somewhere separated from the Arabs because they fear them for some unknown reason. They think of them as less than them. They think of them as slaves. So this is the condition that these black Yemenis are living in. A black Yemeni was interviewed for AFP, and her answer is really sad. She said living there is like hell on earth for them. When will this stop? Mistreating people by the color of their skin, or giving them respect because of their color of their skin? When will people get it? We are all equal. Just because you're white, just because you're paler than me, you think you're better than me? What kind of argument, what kind of logic is that? I just don't understand it. How can you define someone by just the color of their skin? You don't even know them. You don't know what kind of people they are. You don't know their hearts, you don't know their minds. We have the same blood flowing in our veins.
They don't care.
When will people wake up and see that we are all humans? What's this obsession with skin color that we have? I really feel bad for the black Yemenis that are living in Yemen. Where will they go? They don't have a place to go. That's their home. For all they know, they're Yemenis. For all they know, they've lived their whole lives there. They're raising their family there. They don't have any option but to live there with this discrimination. I don't know who needs to hear this. Just because you're white doesn't make you better than any black person. I would like to make a public announcement here. White people, Arabs, Chinese, please understand, your ideology based on skin color is not only ridiculous, but it's stupid AF. Just wake up from your sleep and understand that you being white, Arab, Chinese, any race other than black does not make you a better person. Just get that through your head, please. And stop this foolishness and evilness. Let these people live. Let them work. Let them get their money. Let them raise their family without feeling like they're less than or them fearing for their lives. Just stop it. Just try to be a decent human being. You guys do let us know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are about these black people being discriminated against in their own country, and let us know. I will see you on the next one. I am
Is that what the Quran taught? Is that because, when I came to the Lord as a Christian, I never recalled Jesus or anybody in the Bible referring to people as Abadah, black and white. I never, of all the prophets, the Jeremiahs, the Isaiahs in the Bible, Paul, the apostle, Moses to Abraham, I've never seen someone describe their slaves as black. As long as I have read books contained to the Bible and on the outskirts of the Bible. I have never seen that. I have never seen God tell Moses something like that about the light ones and the dark ones. So even in the Arab world, they had white supremacy. And I said, if it started with what they said in the Quran, but let me ask anybody if I had a chance, have anybody been raised from the dead in the name of the Prophet or any of the men of the Quran? Have anybody been cast out, been protected from Satan and his dominions and his devils? Have anybody ever have person got healed in the name of Quran? Have anybody ever had a unusual blessing, but that put an overwhelming peace, joy, love? Have anybody ever in any part of the Quran has done that? Don't you find that kind of strange? But yet, they want people to convert. And why would I want to convert with something like that? From one of the followers of the Quran and what he did, what he thought about people and women. Why would I want to convert with someone like that? It doesn't make no sense. I can't see how any black person was raised and then think that it's all right. I'm not saying that Christianity ain't perfect. I know Christianity got its issues. There was some people that like the Ku Klux Klan and certain white nationalists and can call themselves that, and they did some horrible things as far as in the name of their version of Christianity. But they didn't. But the thing about with the Christians, them kind of Christians, they didn't know Christ. They didn't know the Spirit of God. And see, I just don't understand. And then did you? I'm gonna play a video. Did you know that even in the Quran, that if you have a disagreement with your wife, they teach you. This man teach you how this prophet, according to this picture, that if she disagree with you, you can put your hands on her, and you have to only you hit her in certain areas of her body. That is consistent with the Quran. No joke. I'm gonna put that video up tomorrow. Did you know that? This is in the Quran. And did you? And I was reading that there's one report about divorce. I just tell you, man. I'm glad I'm on the right path to the resurrection. Hallelujah, Jesus, woo. And I thank God He led me by His Spirit, because when I have His Spirit, and if I was married, I'm pretty sure He would not tell me through His Spirit if my wife and I have a disagreement to put my hands on her a certain way. This is the holy, sovereign, almighty God that give it. And see, here's the thing about what's special about belonging to Yeshua. For the heat, Greg, but we went through Christian of Jesus Christ. Those who truly love Jesus Christ, who are Christians, and it's some people who are Hebrews, they don't put their hands on their wife. Jesus said, if you have a disagreement, He shows you how to do that without putting you don't. The only time that it was mentioned in the Bible that if your child get out of line, the rod, you don't put the rod on your wife. You don't put a rod on another grown person in the household. The rod is to get the child, raise up a child and spare the rod. That's what that rod was for, not for another adult who was a woman or a man. And that because some women can turn around and be abusive to a man. I can't see how anybody parted. I'm just be honest with you. I just
when the little girls were younger, claiming that they had been sexually assaulted by their father.
I'm sorry, I get. But yeah, I just don't see how. And now you see how these people kicked off with the extremists. Al Qaeda, Al Shabaab, all from that state. Took out something out of the Quran. That what was it? What's that one over there right now running Afghanistan? Taliban. They all go by the same thing by the Quran, and I bet you they do the same thing as far as their relationship with women. Wow. But you see the spirit of it. You see the spirit of Islam. And those who know what I'm talking about by the spirit. You see it. The Most High don't move that way. You know, He teach you how to discipline your child. He teach you how to handle your relationship. And He definitely don't teach you how to think of another group of people, regardless, even if it was they didn't have much money than you that live in this. It was even taught how to treat your servant, the stranger. That you treat them, give them with honor and respect. And there was nowhere in the Bible that he said just because of people of color, white came on this side of the shoulder and black came on this side of the shoulder. And guess what else taught that crazy mess about, oh, it's gonna be that when the black people go up to heaven, it's gonna turn white. It was the Mormons that did the same thing. Another white supremacist group based on religion. And I might pull that video up too, because it's not just the Muslim, it was the Mormons. That's why I said we got to be the people. But if they make sense, if you look back at that time, during the time of Yeshua, he was a dark man, the one we refer to as Jesus. And then you look at some of the people in the Bible, most of the people had dark complexion like myself, or even darker. But but white supremacy wiped it out in religion. It sounded like it went into the Arab world as well as the Latin world and other Asian world and everywhere else. Just based on skin color. Could you imagine that skin color on a person's skin? But hey, I'm sorry it's offended somebody, but this had to be the truth. And man, I tell you, it's so good to be a part of Yeshua HaMashiach. You know, I pray for the people that's in that God will reveal who He revealed to them and bring them up under that ideology that was put in the Quran. I pray for the Muslims. Like Orthodox Jews, really pray for them, because they don't know what they up under. God never never said something that foolishness. Why would He make a people to be cursed? Be treated as, oh, He's gonna put them into hell because of their skin color. Think of the nonsense behind that. And you're gonna probably have some imams, somebody gonna try to explain. There's no way explaining. Them guys explaining what it really is. It is what it is. What I don't know what 2,000 or 4,000 years ago. It ain't changed, and they still got slaves over there. Going by that book. They got it in Lebanon, Libya, Egypt, and a few other countries over there. Then they go invade other countries with their group, trying to subjugate people up under there. Then you go in India, they subjugating them over there. You go in some other place, they subjugating them over there. That's what, and I don't agree with someone persecuting someone's religion, but the Muslims was one of the groups that started this stuff, trying to say you don't do it by my way. We come with the sword. Now it ain't the sword no more. It's guns and bombs. That's all. And that's all what it is. They trade the sword for guns and bombs. To the radical ones anyway. But anyway, I know it's going. I'm sorry it's offend somebody, but now for black people, now you know the truth about the Prophet Muhammad, how he truly feel. And for the Nation of Islam, like that dude said, they need to do some research about the Prophet Muhammad. They need to do some deep research on him. That's all I gotta say about that. And I don't mean to make this a religious war or anything like that, but you need to know. You need to know the truth. That's what my channel's about. and the injustice of people, but particularly people that look like myself from different aspects. And it'll be more stuff coming soon. And I might have to do one on the Mormons, because I just don't want to see that's just one group of people. But you need to know what you're following. You know, one thing was powerful in that book. Whatever you commit, know what you do some research before you commit to it. When it comes to your spiritual life or any other thing in life, that's one thing. And I think it was in the Malcolm X movie, and he said, "Son," it was a scene. He said, "Make sure you know what you commit to." But anyway, black people, Southern people come with that mindset from over the different Arab countries. That's why they look at you the way they do. That's why they think. That's why they kind of like stand off. You know. That's why they act the way they do, because it was shown in the Quran. Some of your Arabic people, and hey, the feeling is mutual. I'm treating you the same way. If that's the way you look at me, because your perception was told you from that your parents, your grandparents told your grandparents that this is what black people are. So when they got to, they ain't that something, they come into your neighborhood and get money off of you, and this is what they learn in their part of spiritual, and this is what they probably saying behind their closed doors. But they have to bargain with you, and like I said, some of the people, and when they come and they open up a store, when they go and leave a store, they'll flip it to one of the other brothers. They'll flip it to a Lebanon, they'll flip it to a Pakistani. Next thing you know, you got a Pakistani or Iraqi going in the store, or Palestinians, or Turks, a Muslim Turk. See, even they keep their business among each other, right in your black community, looking at you, think you a slave. You give them, some of them thinking that you're a slave from the Quran. That's why some got that mean look and stuff. Some be looking at you mean, and they kind of come at you harshly. So now you know. But you know, there might be one, two good people out there that maybe be like that. But if they come from that, they was telling that in Arabic among their family members. They were told in Arabic. They was told this in Arabic. So when you go and support their business, that's who you support. Some of the people in their business, you've helped them bring money, get their commerce going. And this is what they do to their people that look like you, who speak Arabic or African in their land. But that same Arabic person, they can't go out there among their fellow white people and put up them stores and put a month or 2 months worth of food out there that's expired. Let them sell some cigarettes. And they tried it, and the state go out there and shut them down, trying to do what they do into the poor black neighborhood. They don't go out there. They don't go out. They don't go out in them neighborhoods, so they know. That's why the rent's cheap down there, and that store stay down there forever. You need to know the truth. I'm not just saying it, and I'm not saying that everybody's like that. But if they got that nasty mentality, that's where it comes from. The spirit of Muhammad. Spirit of Muhammad is on them. It might be even if someone that look like you, black people, they've been brainwashed. For their faith. Because just like people can say Christianity brainwashed us, Islam can brainwash them too. For real. But anyway, this is a wake up call. But remember, buy black or go in with black and white. The people that treat you and honor you with respect. Stop shop with people that look at you like a slave. Or come to your community like a slave. And saying this, they could be talking about you. Why you did among us? We're here to get rich off you slaves. Because it's America. That's the truth. But anyway, I don't mean to go on from there, but it's reality. But I hope this be a wake up call. Support black business. Support your own, but mainly support your own. Get your commerce and break down the walls between your Caribbean brothers and your African brothers. Because we visible among each other while we invisible among them. That they taught to see us as invisible among white supremacy. But we are visible among each other. So let this be this year on out, we be visible and let them know. You be visible among your own people. Hit them in the pocketbook. Till next time, take care.